Hi. There's a little bit of glare, so I hope to not torture you too much with that. Welcome. This is a preview for the course you're about to take called Enneagram 101. There are two important themes that will be running through this particular course, and I believe are major themes in our life today, the gestalt of our times, okay? And one is that we are in an existential threshold experience. That's being said everywhere by everyone. And part two, how to navigate these threshold experiences for all of us right now. So beyond the questions of who am I, who are we, why are we here, what is our part on the planet, it's more like, why are we here now? Why are we here now? What is our part now that we are playing in this great unfolding universe? Now, I could quote luminaries all day long who are addressing this particular precipice that we're on. Here's a short couple ones. This is Thomas Keating, a modern Christian mystic. He passed away in October 2018. 2 weeks before he died, Thomas Keating emerged briefly from 4 days in what appeared to be a coma to deliver an extraordinary final message beamed straight to the heart of the world. Acknowledging that an extraordinary moment of civilization seems to be overtaking us, he urged the human family to scrap old approaches based on religious or political dogma and begin a new world with one that actually exists, a world whose truth is guided by science and silence, and whose heart is revealed in a universal resurgence of human compassion and creativity. We need to find ways to make these really happen, he said. I leave this hope in your hands and hearts, coming as a real inspiration from the heart of God. Thomas Keating. And this is Desjardins. Our sense of the whole is emerging in a fresh way as we feel ourselves embraced by the evolutionary powers unfolding over time into forms of ever greater complexity and consciousness. All such transitions come at times of crisis. They involve tremendous cost, and they result in new forms of creativity. The central reality of our times is that we are in such a transition now. This is not an easy moment, as already human suffering and environment loss are widespread. It is not a guaranteed transition, as it will require tremendous human creativity, emotional intelligence, and spiritual strength. Desjardins. And this is a mystic named Delio, D-E-L-I-O, writes, we are reaching a fork in the road. Two paths are diverging on planet Earth, and the one we choose will make all the difference for the life of the planet. Shall we continue our medieval practices in a medieval paradigm and mechanistic culture and undergo extinction? Or shall we wake up to this dynamic evolutionary universe and the rise of consciousness towards an integral wholeness? We are called to make a paradigm shift to an utterly new cosmology and world view. So those are just three. Could have done hundreds and hundreds of them. Okay. So we are, it's agreed now, in times of great change and accelerated change. Human beings both crave change, actually, and fear it in equal measure. Okay? We want it, humans want change, but we're programmed for fear based on a belief in separation. So we have now progressed into a prison of our own minds. And the whole idea is now to deprogram that mind construct, which is the same as the ego construct. So this course is about deprogramming our ego construct, okay? And step out of the matrix. That should have been a documentary, okay? We need to take the red pill now. Every time we go beyond thinking in our programmed mind, we contribute to the collective consciousness and higher knowing. So every time we make a decision to go higher, so to speak, we are contributing to the whole. The Enneagram defines the prison that we're in. Each type's prison is unique. And it takes a lot of repetition to actually download all of this, okay? It's hard work. Spiritual work is hard work, not just the Enneagram. Spiritual work is probably the hardest work we will ever do, and it takes practice, a lot of practice, all the time. We have to be very, very vigilant. We have to be in to go now, beyond our history, beyond the definitions, beyond the collective agreements. The primary objective, both of any spiritual path and of the Enneagram right now, is to be more and more aligned with our unconditioned consciousness, which is our true nature. We are in an energetic storm. In the Enneagram, we have a terminology for intense transitional moments such as this, both personally and collectively, and they are called shock points. Shock points. These shock points are not particular to the Enneagram. They are an intrinsic part of the fabric of the unfolding of the universe, okay? They are wake-up calls. They expedite and accelerate evolution, and they have been going on since the beginning of time. So in our more current lives, all wars are shock points. 9/11 was a shock point, of course, biggie. COVID was another just huge one, okay? These shock points are to wake us up. I'm reminded of an experience I had in the late 70s where I went to Berkeley to see Muktananda. So maybe some of you did that too. It was a big auditorium, and I just remember, walking down the middle aisle and everybody was giving Muktananda an orange or a flower. I don't know, these guys really like oranges. And I had my orange. Now, what he did with each person is he took a peacock feather and just tapped them on the head or on the shoulder, and then they went their way. Well, I got there and handed him my orange, and he took the peacock feather and was just practically beating me to death with it. And I had no idea what was going on. I was shocked. I didn't see him do that with anyone else. Over the years, I have realized that he was telling me to wake up in no uncertain terms. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And I believe right now, those peacock feathers are happening, and we're being told by the universe and all the masters that ever existed to wake up. Hopefully it's peacock feathers and not 2x4s. So we are at a turning point in consciousness, and in this course that's coming up, we're going to go from the densest ego activity all the way up to the rarest, highest frequency of each type and into non-dual reality. Now I'm going to put my chart here, I hope without incident, what you might recall as the levels, okay? That my teachers, actually one of my teachers, Don Riso, is the one that developed the levels. All right, so we're going to take each type all the way from the lowest and the densest down here, all the way up through the average, gaining presence, healing, gaining presence, all the way up here to the top, and then to level 1, which is an enlightened individual. But we're even going to go even into the rarest of the rare into absolute reality, which is a very, very high rarefied state. Okay? So we're going to take each type. We're going to look at each type's innate connection, which would be up here, this level here, innate connection to source, which I sometimes call their superpower. Okay, and we're going to look at how they also, each type got disconnected from that source because each type did it in a unique way. How each type fell away from unity, consciousness, into a state of separation and fear. So the understanding of that in each type is, especially when it's your type, okay, is very sobering and also infinitely inspirational. We are going to be looking at first the instinctive triad. Now, if you remember, Gurdjieff called us three-brained entities, three-brained individuals, and we have three intelligences. Okay, we're going to take it off because otherwise we're going to have a disaster here. Three intelligences. We have body intelligence, we have heart intelligence, and we have mind intelligence. Body, heart, mind. So when we start out here, when I send you the 8 next week, we're going to be in the instinctive triad. So we're going to do the 8, 9, and the 1 first, okay? This is the body brain, you might say, okay? The body brain. Now, the instinctive triad has the greatest capacity, therefore, for knowledge, for direct knowledge through their body. They have an innate gut instinct, okay? They're tuned for that. They are attuned for that. They all want primarily autonomy or self-determination, self-governance, sovereignty. The 8 demands it. They are assertive type. The 9 withdraws to get autonomy, and the 1 feels that they have to earn autonomy. So we have an assertive type, a withdrawal type, and an earner type, sometimes called a dutiful type. Now, each of these types has a certain composition, and that's going to be explained in detail when I send out each type. Hope you can see this. I don't know if you can see the colors. This is more colorful than it looks on here. Okay, now we have, these are the components, and you're going to hear them for each type, okay? So I'm kind of preparing you ahead of time. All right, see this little heart right here, right where the heart is, huh? Okay, this is where what we call in the Enneagram the passion. Now, it doesn't mean passionate, it means pathos, okay? So it means suffering. So the passion, when we address it in the Enneagram for each type, is the suffering of the heart. It's an aberration of heart, right? And it's right here. Okay, now each type has also an aberration of mind, and that is here, and it's called the fixation. It is the small mind, the deluded mind, the unenlightened mind, the mind steeped in duality, okay? Now, you see how this is red here on the chart, and I don't think you can see, I don't know if you can see the red, but I've drawn like an egg shape here, connecting the passion and the fixation, because this is the ego knot right here. It is a combination of the aberration of heart and the aberration of mind, and they feed each other. So the mind defends the heart, and then therefore the heart accentuates the fixation, and it just goes round and round and round. And most of humanity stays in this knot and actually never gets out of it. Now, the passions correspond to approximately the 7 deadly sins, only we have 9. Okay, I mean sloth, lust, envy, avarice, etc. Okay, each type is going to have one of those passions. And the fixations also lend themselves to You might say the the sins of mankind, like judgment, like not pride. Pride is a passion, like vanity, and we could go on like that. So you kind of have an idea. Okay. Now, the salvation here of this knot, which is is a low frequency, this is an ego frequency, is to rise above. Here's the heart, is to rise above. Up here, you see this heart with a little star around it, okay, the lit up heart. This is the redemption of the aberrated heart, and it is called the virtue. Okay, each type has a virtue. Now, the virtues are also things we kind of know about, okay? Innocence, authenticity, humility, courage. Okay, I could tell you all of them, but you're going to hear each one for each type. Okay, this is the redemption of the suffering heart. This is the liberated heart. Now, if we go up here even a little higher, and you might start recognize these as part of the chakra system here. We go up here all the way, and this little diamond shape with, again, stars around it. And this is called the holy idea. And this is the redemption of the fallen mind, or the false mind, or the small mind. Okay, so this is the liberated mind. This is the non-dual aspect of mind up here. So we're going to take each type, and we're going to talk about their passion and their fixation, and this knot. And then we're going to talk about their virtue and their holy idea. Yes? Okay, now down here, and I don't think you can see these three dots. They're red. They're red. I can't see them myself, so I'm thinking you can't see them. But there are three dots right here. Now, one is right down here at the perineum. Now, these are called the instincts, okay? One is right down here at the perineum, and it's called self-preservation. The next one is the sexual instinct, and the third one is in the solar plexus, and that is the social instinct. So you see, that also corresponds to the chakra system. Now, we are not going to cover the instincts in this first round, this first 10 sessions, but we will have a follow-up after to do just the instincts, because they become very important, because all of you are either a self-pres or a sexual or a social, whatever type you are. So you're either a self-pres, sexual or social 8, self-pres, sexual or social 2, self-pres, sexual or social 9, 6, etc. 5. Okay. All right. You're going to be one of those. You're going to be one of those predominantly. Okay. So every type is going to have the passion and the fixation and the virtue and the holy idea. Now we are also going to cover, and I think somebody asked me this, we're not going to, there are a couple of things we're not going to cover in these first 10 sessions, but again, you will have a chance, everybody will have a chance to do the follow-ups, couple of follow-ups afterwards, and we will be discussing them. We will be learning them. There's a test to take for the instincts to find out which instinct you are, actually. Okay, we are going to be, at the end, in a follow-up, we will be discussing wings, because everybody has a wing, or let's say you're an 8, because we do have an 8 in our group, that the 8 person is either going to have a 9 wing or a 7 wing. Possibly, some people are bilingual. Some people have both wings evenly, but usually one dominates. So let's say the 8 has a 9 wing. Then they're going to be a 9-ish 8. A 9-ish 8. And it's interesting because I already got that impression about our 8, that he might already be a 9-ish 8, okay? If a person is a 2, they're either going to have a 1 wing or a 3 wing. Yes? If they're a 9, they're going to have an 8 wing or a 1 wing. If they're a 4, we have a 4. We have few 2s. And we have a 4. She's either going to have a 3 wing or a 5 wing, which means that she's going to be 3-ish 4 or a 5-ish 4. We don't know which one yet, okay? The 5 is either going to have a 4 wing or a 6 wing, and the 6 is going to either have a 5 wing or a 7 wing. So we are already connected then to the ones next to us. And that is already going to be part of our integration process to integrate those wings. So as you listen to each type, keep in mind, for instance, we're going to do the 8 first, but keep in mind when we get to the 9 that that's right next door, and there are going to be aspects that apply, okay? And on. What we will do, we'll do the 8, and then the 9 kind of builds on the 8, and the 1 kind of builds on the 9. And then at the end of that triad, we're going to get together again, as you know, I sent out that email, and we'll do a Zoom gathering, and we'll integrate this triad before we go on to the heart triad, which will also have the passion and the fixation and everything else we just talked about. Now, what also happens, which is going to be at the end as well, each type has what we call an integration point and a disintegration point. The integration point happens naturally with the progression of the person going up the levels of their type. So as the person has more and more presence within their own ego type, there is a natural integration of another type that starts to come in. And I can tell you basically what they are, just so you know. The 8 integrates up to the high 2. The 9 integrates up to the high 3. The 1 integrates up to the high 7. The 2 integrates up to the high 4. The 3 integrates up to the high 6. The 4 integrates up to the high 1. You see all these lines here, right? The 5 integrates up to the high 8. The 6 integrates up to the high 9, and the 7 integrates up to the high 5. Okay. Now that I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to you, but I'm just kind of giving you an overview because we will be going into the integration and disintegration points. Now, each one of these types has a disintegration point. It's not something that happens like the integration point, which is kind of a natural progression. The disintegration point is when there's some kind of stress or distress, and there's like a shunting over or down into the lower aspect of another type, okay? And it's unconscious. The integration process is conscious. The disintegration process is unconscious, okay? So the 8 disintegrates to the low 5, the 9 disintegrates to the low 6, the 1 disintegrates to the low 4, the 2 disintegrates to the low 8. See these lines? The 3 disintegrates to the low 9. The 4 disintegrates to the low 2. See that? The 5 disintegrates to the low 7. Notice low. They disintegrate to the low aspect. Okay. The 6 disintegrates to the low 3, and the 7 disintegrates to the low 1. And we'll go over those because it's very important to know so that you can make that process of disintegration more conscious, so you can catch yourself when you've just shunted over to the low aspect of another type. So we are all here to evolve. Yes, to have a higher consciousness at the end of our life than we did at the beginning of our life. The Enneagram, I do believe, holds the key to that process very definitively, and awakens us up to who we are and who we are not. And basically, this process is a process of subtraction. So it's a diminishing process, meaning that we're taking away that which we are not. We're recognizing who we aren't so we can let go of it, and it's very specific for each type, so that what is left is who we are, because that is who we are already. Yes? Okay. So the Enneagram helps us move from an ego-based consciousness to an essence-based consciousness. The Enneagram is a call to presence. Very simply put, a call to presence. To have a presence-based life. And this is a reading from a book that you may have discovered way back in the 70s called Starseed Transmissions. Trust in God for your survival needs, and you will neither starve nor be found lacking. See first the kingdom of heaven, and through that seeing, you will notice survival factors you had previously overlooked. They are too close to your eyes. Your mind is still looking for complexities. Throughout history, you have been struggling so hard to survive by your definition of survival that when you discover you want to survive, you will discover me. I am your reason for survival. I am the spark of life within you, expressing my universality through your environment. It is I who want to survive and find expression through you. You want to stay on Earth because it is the most beautiful spring morning of all your history, and you are in love with the spirit that sings in your heart, in love with the glorious planet that clothes you in her matter. Do not continue to sleep, lest in dreaming you miss all that is taking place. Okay, I'll see you for type 8. Namaste.